Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rock Squad podcast, your destination for the latest in rock music news, reviews, and discussion. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Nick Chino. I'm joined by my co-host and bandmate and good friend. It's Dave Marini. What's up, man?
Hey, Nick, how's it going? Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking it out. Before we get started, make sure you hit the bottom of this video. You subscribe to our channel. You like this video. You comment on this video. You do everything you need to do to make us happy. You can follow me at Red Coast Records on Instagram, Red Coast Records on Facebook. Nick, my friend, how are you doing?
I'm good. You can follow me at The Walking Nick. Dave, I've been doing a lot of musical stuff lately.
Oh yeah, you getting creative?
Getting creative, playing a lot of guitar, playing a lot of piano as well. I got a piano here in the house. That's my somebody left here. Let me just say that somebody left here. They left, thankfully, but the piano's still here. So playing a lot of piano, but also listening to a lot of music. Up on the Rock Squad channel right now, we got a couple of rock album reviews for John Mayer's new album called Sob Rock, a really great record. New record from Waves called Hideaway. Those are up on the channel. And then I did a review for the DG's Hale Satin Record Store Day release from the Foo Fighters. Have you had a chance to check it out, Dave?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I am totally into it. I nerded out. It's great. I'm big fan.
Yeah, for sure. I did a really off the cuff review of it, and it's really fun. The thing about it I liked about it is that the Foo Fighters are just irreverent and they're having fun. Dave's doing his falsetto vocals. Taylor takes the lead on one of the songs. He sounds fantastic on that song as well, and I really enjoyed it. Back to the John Mayer thing. Have you heard any of the new John Mayer? What's your mileage with John Mayer? Are you a fan at all?
We talked about it a little bit last week that I got into him more during the blues festival stuff.
Yeah.
And not so much Your Body's a Waterfall or Wonderland or whatever it is. So I have a different kind of view of him. I've always, when I think of him playing at the Crossroads Festival with Buddy Guy and Clapton and all those guys. So I'm a fan of his. I think he's a great player and one of the best players, really.
Really great.
And as a guitar player and musician, the choice of gear he uses, I nerd out a lot on his Dumble amps and his, he uses a lot of rare, really expensive shit. So he's a guitar player, and I think you'd be hard pressed to find any guitar player that doesn't have a little bit of a crush on John Mayer.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. On this record, he sounds incredible. The tones he's getting are crazy. The whole record has a little bit of an 80s synth rock vibe to it, which is really cool. There's a lead track on this record that I'm actually gonna be putting in my tracks of the week this week, called Last Train Home. It's an awesome song. I really like it. Great guitar from him. I called it buttery, I think was my term that he used to describe John Mayer's guitar player. But yeah, we're guitar players. I wish I could play like him. He's just incredible. Great songwriter, great vocalist. So that rock album review is up there as well. But in our own neck of the woods, Dave, you and I and our bandmates John and Adam went out and did a little photo shoot with our band Fools Union. I'm gonna bring some photos up here on the screen to show some folks. But insert photo.
How exciting was that to be in the same place at the same time?
It was incredible
with the other four people you love the most.
Yeah, it was great, man. Our buddy Angelo came and took some pictures of us. And for a bunch of guys that haven't jammed together in eight or 9 months, it's been quite a while since we jammed. It was so nice just to get together and take some new photos. It's been a couple of years since we took some fresh photos, and you looked very handsome as always, and as did the other guys. And we know our buddy John he has his incredible hair. So I think it was it was a success.
It's always amazing. We've done so much with Angelo over the years and stuff, and we've done music videos and photo shoots and everything in between. So it's always awesome when we all get together and we get to be creative and stuff. Something that hasn't happened in fucking 19 months. So, I will take any little bit of hanging out with my buds and being creative. So yeah, it's awesome. And we have new music coming, which is awesome. And that stuff, it's awesome. We're in a good space. We're having a good time.
Yeah, for sure. New Fools Union coming out very soon. A new song called Maniacs, which was the brainchild of one Mr. Dave Marini. So it's going to be a good one. That's him. When you hear the song, for sure. It's got the goods. So that's going to be coming out very soon. Another thing I was checking out music wise was the new McCartney 321 documentary that is on Disney Plus Star here in Canada, but down in the US, it's on Hulu, which is basically Paul McCartney and Rick Rubin hanging out in a room with a mixing desk, listening to Beatles songs. And Paul McCartney's telling stories about how the band got their start and how they made certain records. And there are quite a few little tidbits in there that were new for me, but as a Beatles fan and kind of a hardcore fan of the band and someone who's gone down many a YouTube hole looking at Beatles videos for many hours at a time, a lot of these stories were not new to me. But I think for fans out there, maybe if you're new to the Beatles or if you're not somebody who's heard these stories a million times, it would be really interesting. And it is interesting to hear Paul. I would never tire of Paul talking about putting together these classic songs, but it's cool. Have you had a chance to see anything, Dave?
Oh man, I binged it so hard.
Did
It's
you?
so good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic. First off, Rick Rubin is my spirit animal. Like if I could live Rick Rubin's life, and I don't think there's many people our age that would not have him as the goat of life, really. But yeah, man, it's unbelievable documentary style, kind of interview style. I man, just blown away. I love that they're deep diving like bass in particular, and how important his role was in the band, and putting together those songs, and how they're really focusing in on like what's going on with the tone here. Why does this tone work? This tone, like things like that, where as a whole you never think of it, but when you start pulling elements of the songs back, it's like really what was going on here, and having somebody kind of question him on. Some would say McCartney's an overplayer, and to have him question about that in this show and hearing him explain how he approaches songs, unbelievable, man. And some of the best songs that the world has ever heard, deep dived and explained, and how they got there, and the rivalry, non-rivalry with the Beach Boys, and all that. It's amazing. You know what I mean? Like it's 100% recommended. If you're a Beatles fan, you're going to love it. If you're not a Beatles fan, but you know those songs, check it out.
Yeah, it's super interesting the way they pull down the faders to highlight certain parts. And there are actually some things that they played that I hadn't heard. There was some stuff in Dear Prudence in the background that I had never heard. And again, you were saying some bass stuff that Paul has done that you always hear it, but you may not pay attention to every little detail that he's doing. The criticism that he overplays, I know George Harrison was always critical of his bass playing on Something, which is fantastic. But, you're a bass player. When you think about it, your job is to hold it down. And Paul McCartney never plays the same thing twice. Even if he's staying within the root notes, he's always doing something, changing it up, which makes it a little bit busy. And I can see how George Harrison thought maybe he was doing a little bit too much on something like Something. But he's Paul McCartney, so whatever. He's one of the best players in the world. He's got to let him do his thing. He always elevated the other Beatles songs whenever he played on them. So I think it's awesome that he did this thing with Rick Rubin. It's it's a little bit cheesy here and there when he talks about certain stories, but overall I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's great. It's great, man. It's getting ready for the Peter Jackson release of the documentary and stuff too. Like it was a great just focus on Paul and not necessarily just the Beatles. Like hearing stuff from Wings and hearing. Did you watch the whole thing? I don't want to.
I'm about halfway through, so yeah, I got through quite a bit already.
Yeah. So yeah, like I like that it's not just Beatles; it's everything that he's done. Yeah. So yeah, man, it's really cool, and Rick Rubin's awesome, and Rick Rubin's is a musician's guy. Like he loves like referencing old things when making new music. And to be honest, there's not many people that have created more music that I enjoy than those two people.
I know.
Like
pretty good track record overall.
Yeah, like if I had their catalogs on a desert or on an island, I would be in good shape. So yeah,
100%.
highly recommend it, man.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's on Hulu in the States, up on Disney Plus Star here in Canada. Well, let's get to our opening act topics for this week's Rock Squad podcast. A couple of news topics in the world of rock music. The first one being Lizzie Hale has been named Gibson's first female brand ambassador. I'm thinking this is something that should have happened a long time ago, but the Hailstorm front woman has been named their first ever female brand ambassador. She's going to get her own line of guitars and equipment and other products to tie in with her new role as their brand ambassador. What she has to do other than just promote them and put out some new guitars, I'm not too sure, but I'm sure it's pretty cool. But a lot of people were saying online, they were critical of Gibson, saying it's 2021. It's not like Lizzie Hale is the first woman to ever pick up a guitar. It's been a long time coming to see a woman become the brand ambassador of any big music company. But I suppose that just goes to show you how much of a boys club the rock music world can be. And I find that's a shame because there have been so many great rock music, women in rock over the years. And there's still a lot of great women in rock. One of my favorite bands right now is Haim from LA, and Danielle Haim in that band is one of the best guitar players on the planet. She would be a great, brand ambassador for Gibson. I don't really listen to a lot of Hailstorm personally, but Lizzie Hale has definitely earned her stripes as a rock and roll front woman, the leader of one of the bigger rock bands in the US. So this is a long time coming, Dave. What do you think?
Well, I'm a little confused. Is the brand ambassador the same as like a sponsored? Because I'm sure there's been other female.
Well, yeah, maybe. They've done lines with them or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm totally down. Obviously, like it should have been done years and years and years ago, right? So, this is awesome. Like, right on, rock on. Like, keep on. They should be doing more of that. There should, how many black guys are leading the way at playing guitar on things too? Like, there should be there should be one of everybody for everyone on every company, because that's who plays music, is everybody.
Yeah,
it's not just dicks. Like.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Rock music has become a little bit too much of like just white straight dudes. It's always good to diversify, right? And that's the thing with rock music, and that's the thing that I try to explain to people when they say rock is dead or there are no good rock bands. It's not true. There are more great rock bands right now than there ever have been, and they are diversifying and they're becoming different. So you have to roll with it and just go with the times. And there's so much great music being made now. It's unbelievable, the volume of great music. And so just to say, rock is dead, it's like, well, open your eyes. There's great women making music. There's great people of color making rock music. There's great people in the LGBTQ community that are making great rock music. So open your eyes, check it out, and you'll be surprised how much awesome stuff there is out there.
Dude, Metal Ginger. Female fronted band.
Yep.
The Pretty Reckless.
Yes, Taylor Momsen.
Female fronted band. Rock is alive and well, and women are ruling at rock right now.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody tell you anything different. And I think that this is a great start to more of these endorsements or brand ambassadors or whatever they want to call them. I'm not really sure what it is. But and they should do some legacy lines with some ladies from the past that have I'm sure the ladies in Heart would love to get in on some stuff, like do a legacy line where there's, the people that were forgotten in different times. I want to see that. Step up, Gibson, get it done.
Yes, step it up. Another band I love from the UK, a couple of girls, they're called Nova Twins. They're really cool. Yeah. And they've done a couple of songs with Bring Me the Horizon. So they're very cool as well. So just check it out, man. There's no shortage of great women, and we're proud of Lizzie Hale for becoming the first female brand ambassador of Gibson. It's long overdue. So congratulations to her. But let's get to our next song or next topic on this week's Rock Squad podcast. And that Coldplay have announced their new album, Music of the Spheres. It's going to be coming out on October the 15th, and it's produced by Uber pop producer Max Martin, who's better known for producing things like Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears and NSYNC than rock music. They've also dropped the first song from the record called Overtura, which I haven't heard yet. I should have given it a listen before we did the show. But the thing with me and Coldplay is actually I was a big Coldplay fan. I still think they're a good band, but I was a big fan of Coldplay right from the get-go when Parachutes came out in the year 2000. In the year 2000. Love Parachutes, was a big fan of A Rush of Blood to the Head. X and Y was great. And then they did Viva La Vida, which was another great record from them. And then I dropped off somewhere around Milo Xyloto, which was came out about a decade ago. So I dropped off as a Coldplay fan for the last 10 years or so, but they definitely transitioned from being, not that they were the heaviest rock band ever, but they were a pretty solid British rock band in the early 2000s. They very much transitioned from being a rock band to being a pop rock band, if not a full out pop band. And now working with Max Martin, this guy is the king of pop music. He's written some of the biggest pop songs of all time. So Coldplay are obviously bringing the big guns for this new record. What's your mileage with Coldplay, Dave?
It's a mixed bag. I'm not going to say I dislike them. There's definitely songs that I have liked over the years. Like Parachutes was a cool record. The song Clocks is really interesting.
Great song.
There's tons of songs that I do enjoy. Bringing in Max Martin, though, I don't know if people out there don't know who Max Martin is. Max Martin is, of course, is legendary songwriter and producer of all those bands you had mentioned. Actually, probably one of the richest songwriters, probably right behind Paul McCartney and John Lennon, if not, so if not above them. So we're talking like this is a big deal to have him involved on a Coldplay record. They're trying to get something done here. So yeah, you're right, man. This band has transformed over the years, and they are a legit pop band right now. And I don't know if that's cool to be 55 years old and in a pop band in England, but they're doing it.
Not that old yet.
And bringing in Max Martin is definitely going to popify everything. I actually heard the new single today, and it's not bad, man. It's not a bad song. I'm gonna give it some more listens, and I'll probably check out the record too. But
yeah,
you can definitely feel the Max Martin vibe in it. The structure and even the sounds of the record. They put out a teaser about this record. And it's kind of just like little snippets of like sound samples of all the songs. And it seems to be like a very kind of slick, futuristic kind of thing. So, hey man, these guys know how to make winners. So, put your money on this one being a hot album for sure.
Yeah, their popularity hasn't waned at all in the last 10 years or so. They've still kept going strong. And I still think they're a great band. And you can't discount all the hits that they've had over the years and all the great records they've put out. I've seen them live, I think once or twice, many years ago. And I still do like them. I think Chris Martin's a great songwriter. And the thing is that we love pop music as well. I know this is a Rock Squad podcast. Rock music is our main passion, but you and I are still both great admirers of a great pop song. In the end, when you think about it, most music, whether it be rock or any genre of music, in the end, it all comes down to a song. So even though it might be dressed up in different ways in production, it might be dressed up in different ways. It all comes down to a song. So even maybe a heavy song could still be technically a pop song, because in the end, you want that song to appeal to your audience or to whoever you're trying to get it out to. So even if it's a heavy song, you still want it to be a good heavy song, right? You want it to still have a certain structure, to adhere to a certain style, or to adhere to, have those elements that make a great song. So pop music is pop music, but maybe all music is pop music. Is that?
Hey man, a good song is a good song, Nick. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, totally. 100%. That is it, Dave. We cracked the secret of the universe. A good song is a good song.
Well, that's it.
It's not complicated.
It's either good or it's not.
Yeah. Speaking of good songs, Coheed and Cambria, one of our favorite rock bands on the planet right now, released a new song called Shoulders. This is a pretty badass track. I did listen to this one today. They're, one of our favorite heavy prog rock bands. This is the follow-up to their Vaxxus album. which came out in 2018. And they also put out a song called Jesse's Girl 2, which came out last year. It was like a sequel to the famous Rick Springfield song.
That's awesome.
We've talked about Coheed before. We talked about him a little bit last week when we were talking about that Jimmy Eat World graphic novel and talking about bands that have large narratives in their music. And I don't think it gets any bigger than Coheed. I'm not sure how this track ties into their Amory. Sorry, I was going to say Armory, to the Amory Wars storyline that they've had throughout their albums over the years. But it's cool. Like, for me as a Coheed fan, I like, they're one of my favorite bands that are doing this kind of music, kind of prog rock, but I haven't gone too deep into their catalog. I'm a little bit more of a surface fan. So even if I'm not 100% into the narrative that they're trying to put in their music, their songs stand alone as great songs. And that's the case with this new song, Shoulders. It might have a larger narrative presence and whatever they're trying to put together with the new record. But on its own, it's just a great rock track. And Claudio Sanchez, great vocals, great everything. Love this new Coheed track.
Yeah, man, I dig it too. I think, Claudio and those guys, they have a formula that works for doing what they do. And we're very fortunate to be around and witness like them coming, like the build to what has happened in that band over the years. They just get better and better, and if people don't know Coheed, they really took off. They really hit the rocket boosters being on games like Guitar Hero and things like that. I think for a lot of people, they weren't aware of them, but songs like Welcome Home ending up on those kind of video games. They're a slick prog rock band, man, and they write super catchy melodies. And they have a whole vibe about them, a whole world to explore. I'm a huge fan of Coheed for sure. And the new song, like you said, man, it's a strong song. They write strong songs, and they're so multi-talented with the storylines and the bringing it back. And the songs don't get sacrificed to just be a song that's associated with a graphic novel. These songs are the meat and potatoes, and everything else falls in line.
Yeah, like the lyrics always tell a story. And it's funny, they have a song called Feathers, which is one of my favorite Coheed songs. Great rock song, like regardless of the lyrics, just great song. So I'm singing along to it. And then, you look at the lyrics, and the lyrics are telling this story that you wouldn't even know about outside of the song. But the song itself is kick-ass. It's still catchy, still great lyrics, still great vocals. So you're saying the song itself isn't sacrificed in favor of the story, right? It's still its own thing. It's like what, maybe if you go see a Marvel movie, right? You watch the Avengers movies, the whole story, but sometimes you just go see that one movie. You just go see Iron Man or Black Panther or whatever, and it's telling its own thing. And that thing has to stand on its own, regardless of the big story. It still has to be a singular experience on its own. So with this new one, you still got to pop it in, and you still got to put up the devil horns, regardless of what's happening with the story. Sure. So it's a cool track. I dig it.
Yeah, me too, man. They're awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I guess we'll put that one in the tracks of the week as well. It's been a couple of weeks since I updated the playlist, so I got to do that, and we'll put the new Coheed in there as well. But let's get to our headliner topic of this week's Rock Squad podcast, and that is the Killers have announced a new album called Pressure Machine. It's their 7th studio album. It's coming out on August the 13th. It's going to feature their longtime guitarist, Dave Koenig, who was absent on their last couple of weeks. Actually, their bass player and their guitar player have kind of come and gone over the last couple of years. They've been involved in the studio, but then, they do different projects, and they may not tour with the band. But I used to be a big Killers fan. Actually, Dave, I got to say this story. It was 2004, I believe. Me and my buddy Ryan, who we went to go see the Killers in Toronto at the Mod Club on the Hot Fuss tour when that first album came out. And it was right before the album really made it big, like right before Mr. Brightside hit the radio, and somebody, I think maybe somebody told me, had just hit radio, and we went and saw them, and they played all the songs from that first album. They were awesome, and I really, really loved the Killers. And Hot Fuss, when I was I think it was like my second or third year university, that was the record. Those songs, all these things that I've done, Mr. Brightside, glamorous indie rock and roll. Somebody told me, Jenny was a friend of mine. Those songs were like the anthem of everybody in college that year. But then I fell off of them. I didn't like Sam's Town. I have kind of dabbled here and there, but I can't say I've really been a fan of any Killers music that they put out since Hot Fuss, which I don't know if that's my problem or if that's their problem, but that's where I stand with the Killers. Dave, how about you?
Well, funny enough, I got into the kill. You got me into the Killers. You
Yeah.
had gone to that show and you were living in London, and I came to visit, and it was we were at a party, and you were like, "Have you heard the Killers record?"
Yeah.
And I hadn't, but I did know the song "Smile Like You Mean It."
Oh, that's a great one too. Yeah, that's one
They
of my
had
faves.
that song was in like a movie in the early 2000s, like right when the band was like getting it together, like before even the albums and the singles came out. It
Yeah.
was like on a soundtrack, and I remember being like, "Oh, that song's amazing." And then I came to visit you, and you were like, "Have you heard the Killers record?" And of course, one of the greatest records of the 2000s that
Yeah.
changed everything. And I continue to be a Killers fan. I was not a fan of Sam's Town. It kind of turned me off of them a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but since then, I've gotten into Sam's Town, and there has been stuff in the last couple records that I've been actually pretty into. So, Brandon Flowers has definitely like taken the reins of that band. I feel him and the drummer, I think, are like the two main guys.
Penny. Yeah.
And being in a band and being songwriters, like we know what that's like, where there's guys, everyone has a role. So if it works for this band where they're creative and friendly with the guy that used to play guitar and loves to come in and add stuff, I think it's awesome that that's the situation, because we've had similar situations like that. And I know it's hard for people to understand, but sometimes the music means more to people than any little bitterness about being on the road and stuff. So I'm actually a huge Killers fan, and I'm really excited to hear what Brandon and the guys have all back together and doing something cool.
Yeah, for sure. There was a single a couple of years ago, a couple of records back, called "The Man."
Oh, so good.
That was a big song in the air, and then when I was on the radio, we played that quite a bit, and I did really enjoy that song.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give this a shot, and maybe I need to dip back into the to the Killers discography and give it another shot. Same, maybe the same with Coldplay, where I was talking about them and how it dropped off of them for the last decade or so. So maybe it takes a little bit of digging. That's what Spotify's for. It's a chance for you to go back and check out some records that you might have missed in a band's discography.
I'm back, baby. I'm back.
So the new Killers record is going to be called Pressure Machine, comes out on August the 13th. Cool. And that is it for our Rock Squad topics this week. But before we wrap things up, we're going to do our tracks of the week. For me, Dave, we mentioned it earlier, John Mayer, Last Train Home, from the new record Sob Rock. I've been listening to it on repeat for the last week. Just really love it. I'm gonna send you guys in the band chat. I wanted to send you guys one of the performances from like Fallon or Kimmel or something, but it was really good. And then a song by a band that I've been listening to a lot lately called The Dangerous Summer. I mentioned them before on the show, and I've been starting to get into them a lot more. Really just great melodic rock band, the type of thing that we're into, Dave. We love great melodic rock. And these guys have great songs, great lyrics. And this song's called Blind Ambition by The Dangerous Summer. So those are my tracks of the week. Dave, what do you got?
Well, we don't really talk about them a lot, but the Deftones are a big favorite of myself and Nick. Yeah. And I've been listening a lot to a mix of Deftones, as I'd say a playlist of them. So recently I remembered how much I love the song Here Comes the Butcher.
Nice, yeah.
Which is a great tune. If you don't know the Deftones, or if you know the Deftones, great song. And then just so good, man. And my second song is also a Deftones song. They were joined by Maynard James Keenan from Tool for Passenger on White Pony.
Yeah.
And that song came on my playlist the other day. And when a song fucking rocks, it rocks. And when Maynard's on it, it normally rocks. So those are my two.
Yeah, man. You can't go wrong with the Deftones. Yeah, we're giant Deftones fans. Although, again, I didn't love the last record, Ohms. It was okay.
I'm not going to lie. I wasn't a big fan either.
Yeah, Koi no Yokan was the last Deftones record I was really into. I didn't like Gore as much either.
Yeah. I liked Koi more than Gore. But hey, man, when you're on your 9th record and 7 of them are good.
Yeah. We're Diamond Eyes guys. Diamond Eyes is our
Diamond Eyes, even Adrenaline. Like
everything. Well, White Pony, obviously, too. The records.
All of them are good. They're all good.
Yeah, for
That's pretty
sure.
funny.
Well, those are great picks. So yeah, that's it for our Rock Squad podcast this week. You can follow me at The Walking Nick on Twitter and Instagram. Where can they follow you, Dave?
Well, you can follow me at Red Coast Records on Instagram or Red Coast Records on Facebook. You can also follow myself and Nick in our band, Fools Union, foolsunion.com, Fools Union on Instagram, Fools Union on Facebook, Fools Union anywhere you stream music. If you want to hear some rock and roll right now, ask Alexa to play some Fools Union.
Yeah.
She got you hooked up.
Whoever was listening just did that. You just triggered it. Alexa,
or I just said
play
it and
Fools
it
Union.
set it off.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, we're on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Rock Squad Pod. If you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, if you're out there listening to our tones on the audio version, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because that lets more people know about the Rock Squad Pod. Sound
Sweet.
good? All right. That's it for this week. We'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, rock on, Dave.
Rock on, Nick.